This episode discusses suicide, emotional distress, and an incident of inappropriate behaviour. If you are struggling, or if this episode brings up difficult feelings with you, please reach out to someone you trust. In Australia, Lifeline is available on 131114. At 8:02 on the morning of the 20th of June 2003, Simon Gurrier-Jones stopped for fuel at the BP Roadhouse in Cocklebiddy. By then, he had driven more than 1,000 kilometres from his home in Perth. He was alone in a white Ford Falcon station wagon travelling east across the Eyre Highway. More than 1,000 kilometres is a long way to drive by yourself. Long enough for the lights of Perth to disappear behind you. Long enough for night to become morning. Long enough for the same thoughts to go around and around. Was there music playing in the car? Did he stop to sleep? Did he think about turning around, calling someone, or going home? We cannot know. Simon was only 25 years old. The people who loved him were expecting to see him that day. But after Cocklebiddy, there was nothing. No more bank transactions, no confirmed sightings, no trace of Simon, and no trace of the car he was driving. This is Vanished West, a podcast exploring the stories of people who disappeared across Western Australia. Each episode examines the lives they left behind, the investigations that followed, and the questions that remain unanswered. Vanished West is independently researched and produced by me. If you'd like to help keep the podcast going, you can support the show through Buy Me a Coffee. The link is in the episode description. Simon Gurrier-Jones was living in Riverton in June of 2003, sharing a home with a couple he knew through his sister-in-law and their church. He was 25. He'd grown up in Perth after being born in Derby, and he was close to his mother and his 3 brothers. Simon had struggled at school because of dyslexia and left before year 12 finished. He worked as a plasterer. His family described him as quick-witted but reserved, with a small circle of friends who meant a lot to him. He was good with computers, played guitar, enjoyed gaming, and loved swimming in the ocean. On the 19th of June, something happened at the Riverton house. Simon behaved inappropriately towards his female housemate. The coroner did not publish the details, and I'm not going to speculate about them here. What is known is that the interaction left Simon feeling ashamed. His housemate left for work shortly afterwards, and as she passed him, Simon was sitting on the couch. He asked her where she was going, and she told him she was going into work. Later, she told her boyfriend what had happened, and when the couple returned home that evening, Simon was gone. So was his car, the white 1991 Ford Falcon station wagon. And at that point, they thought he might have gone to stay with his parents. They assumed he was avoiding an awkward conversation about what had happened earlier that afternoon. It was a reasonable assumption. Difficult conversations are avoided all the time. People leave for a night, cool down, then come back to face what needs to be faced. But Simon did not come back. The following day, Simon was supposed to meet friends at the movies. His housemates were going too. His brother Daniel was going. Simon had arranged to be there, but he never arrived. And after the film, the group went back to the Riverton house. Someone went to Simon's computer to check the football scores. Instead, they found a note on the screen. It was a message to his family and his friends. Simon wrote that he had chosen to end his life, that there was pain in him and in the world that he could not cope with, and that he had tried for years, but he was tired of trying. Daniel later explained that Simon had placed the note in the computer's startup menu because Simon was so capable with computers. It appeared he had deliberately made sure it would be found the next time someone turned the computer on. His family reported him missing that night, and for the people around Simon, the events of the previous day had suddenly become something else entirely. What they had thought might be one difficult, uncomfortable situation had become a fear that Simon had left carrying far more pain than anyone had understood. Police contacted Simon's bank and began tracing his movements. On the evening of the 19th of June, Simon bought fuel in Langford, then in Southern Cross. The next morning, he bought fuel in Norseman. CCTV from the Norseman service station was later reviewed by police, who believed the person in the footage was very likely Simon. Then came Cocklebiddy. His final confirmed purchase was made at the BP Roadhouse at 8:02 on June the 20th. From Riverton to Cocklebiddy is approximately 1,050 kilometres. It is an extraordinary distance to travel overnight, particularly for someone who had not told anyone where he was going. The Eyre Highway is one of those roads that can feel endless. Long, straight stretches through remote country, roadhouses separated by vast distances, tracks disappearing away from the bitumen, the southern edge of the Nullarbor stretching out toward the coast and the cliffs. For Simon's brother Daniel, the direction Simon travelled made a terrible kind of sense to him. When they were children, Simon and his brothers had travelled with their father, who worked as a truck driver and took them on interstate jobs. They had visited the Nullarbor cliffs together. It was not just an unfamiliar place on a map, it was somewhere Simon knew. Once police learned he had travelled east, the search moved quickly across the Eyre Highway corridor. Roadhouses were alerted, border checkpoints were notified, police searched east and west of Eucla, checking truck bays and tracks leading away from the highway. They searched the route from Norseman to Cocklebiddy. They checked the Wilson Bluff area near the Western Australian-South Australian border. Pastoral stations were contacted and asked to watch out for Simon and the White Falcon. The manager of the Cocklebiddy Roadhouse searched local tracks and caves, and a cycling group travelling along the Eyre Highway helped spread word of the search. Police travelled into South Australia. A fixed-wing aircraft searched south of the highway, covering the country between the road and the coast. Simon's father chartered planes too. His family just kept looking, and still there was nothing. A person can disappear in remote country, but a car is different. It is large, it has registration plates, it should leave a trace somewhere. Yet Simon's white Ford Falcon has never been located. In the days after Simon disappeared, police examined his computer more closely. They found internet searches made after his housemates had left for work that morning. The searches related to suicide and suicide notes. They also found that Simon had sent a letter cancelling his income protection on the 19th of June. Taken together, those details suggested that Simon's distress may not have begun with the events of that afternoon. The interaction at the house may have been the immediate thing he could not face, but the note he left behind spoke of pain he had been trying to live with for years. That does not explain everything. It cannot explain exactly what Simon was thinking as he drove east, or what happened after he left Cocklebiddy. Over the years, police checked for any sign that he might have started a new life somewhere else. They checked banking, Medicare, Centrelink, immigration, hospital, electoral and telecommunications records. Yet there was nothing after the 19th of June 2003. There were no credible sightings. Police found no evidence that anyone else was involved in Simon's disappearance. And in 2025, the coroner found that Simon had died on or about June 20th, 2003, in southeastern Western Australia or the adjoining ocean. The coroner suspected Simon may have died by suicide, but because neither Simon nor his car has ever been found, the court could not determine how he died exactly. It remains possible that he became lost or he had an accident in the remote country area near the border. The finding was left open. There is something particularly frightening about the speed of Simon's disappearance. One afternoon he was at home. There was an incident that would have required a difficult conversation. There may have been anger, hurt, accountability, and consequences. But those things are still part of life. They are things people can face. Shame can make that hard to see. It can take one moment and make it feel like the whole of your life has been reduced to it. It can convince someone that they have ruined everything, that the people they love will never see them the same way, and that there is no possible way forward. But shame does not tell the whole truth. People can be accountable for their actions. They can apologize, they can face consequences, they can have difficult conversations, and they can still be here afterwards. The people around Simon may have thought he was avoiding one uncomfortable conversation. They did not know he may have been in crisis much deeper than that. And when someone disappears or leaves this world, the pain does not leave with them. It moves into the people who love them. It becomes the questions they replay for years. What did I miss? What could I have said? Could I have stopped them? Was there a moment where things might have gone differently? I have siblings and I love them more than anything. Family means the world to me, as I know it does for so many people out there listening. Simon was close to his brothers, so it is hard not to think about his brother who was meant to see him at the movies that night, and who instead found the message Simon had left behind. It is hard not to think about Simon's mother, who held out hope for years that perhaps he had changed his mind about driving so far from home. And it is hard to imagine carrying that absence. No goodbye, no place to visit, no certainty about where your son or your brother went after his final stop at a roadhouse in Cocklebiddy. Simon Gurrier-Jones was 25 years old when he disappeared in June 2003. He was last known to be driving a white 1991 Ford Falcon station wagon, registration 8OL948. Neither Simon nor the car has ever been found. If you have any information that may assist, please contact Crime Stoppers on 1-800-333-000. If you are struggling, please reach out. Speak to someone you trust. Contact Lifeline on 131114, or seek support in whatever way feels possible to you. No matter how dark things feel right now, the light is not as far away as it may seem. You do not have to find it all at once. Sometimes reaching for it can be as small as making one phone call, sending a message, or telling someone that you are not okay. Thanks for listening. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and never forget those who vanished from the West.